Right, hello everyone. Hello. Some of you will already have booked for the Easter workshop, which unfortunately couldn't go ahead this week. So I wanted to give you a chance to make your Easter bunny and Easter drawstring bag if you've already got your supplies. And if you haven't, maybe you'd still like to go ahead and do that anyway. I'm making this a free tutorial, so you can do it on your own or perhaps do it with children at home. But it's a fun one to have ready for Easter, to have a decorative Easter bunny and a little drawstring bag that you could maybe use for Easter egg hunts. So I'm going to talk through each stage of how to make these two things. Today I'll be doing the Easter bunny, and then tomorrow we'll look at how to make the bag. So first of all, what you'll need is about 30 centimetres from a roll of fabric, or if you've bought them as fat quarters, a few fat quarters. You'll see some craft shops like Hobbycraft sell fabric bundled up in fat quarters, and in fact this came from Hobbycraft, this nice Peter Rabbit fabric. Also they've got some other lovely Easter fabrics at the moment. This one with bunnies on, and it comes in several different colourways. So if you've got fabric at home, great. Maybe you could get some online, or maybe you could cut up some old clothes or duvet covers or something that you've got. So the first thing you need is a bunny template. Now this one I found online and just printed off. If you Google printable bunny template, you will find all sorts of bunny templates. So you might find one like this, or one a bit different that you like the look of. It's about 25 centimetres high. You could go a bit smaller, a bit bigger, whatever you fancy, but that size will produce a bunny like that. So you need your template, your fabric, and if you've got some ribbon, and we'll be using the ribbon to tie around the bunny's necks and also for the drawstring bag. So let's get started. So first of all, you need to draw around your template on your fabric, and here's one I did earlier. You need a left and a right. Make sure you don't cut out two facing the same way, because they won't go back to back. So you want one that will go one side and one the other. So those are two pieces, mirror images of each other. Okay, like that. And then you need to clip or pin them all around the edge. Now I found it easier to draw around my template on the fabric and then cut out the template, cut out from the line I've drawn, but if you want to, you can just cut round a pinned template. So I'm using these, they're called Wonder Clips, they're great. They're an alternative to pins, and they don't mark fabric. And if you've done a workshop with me, you'll know I'm always singing their praises. So I'm just clipping all around the edge of my bunny. Now usually when we sew with our pretty side facing, right side facing together, so that we turn it inside out and all the seam is hidden inside. Today we're not doing that, we're having the seam on the outside, and we're going to use pinking shears if you've got them, but don't worry if not, to go around the edge. So I've pinned my bunny together, right sides on the outside, wrong sides together, and I'm now going to stitch all round the edge, but I'm going to leave a 2-inch gap at the bottom so I can get in and put the stuffing. And we want quite a small seam allowance. Now the seam allowance is the distance between your stitch line and the edge of the fabric. And usually in sewing we'd sew with a 5/8 of an inch, which is 15 millimetres, 1.5 centimetres seam allowance. Today for this, as it's a small project, we're using a smaller seam allowance, just 1/4 of an inch, about 1/2 centimetre. And pulling my sewing machine nearer, If you've got a machine at home, you've probably seen that it's got lines to the right of the presser foot showing where your seam allowances are and helping you line up your fabric to get the right seam allowance. Now, because we're doing a small one, you might find it helpful to say line up with the edge of the presser foot, or I sometimes put a post-it note stuck down on the machine just to make sure you're keeping on track. Also, because you're going around curved edges, you're going to have to keep adjusting and keep turning your bunny to keep your distance right from the edge of the fabric. So I'm going to start on the bottom edge. I'm going to leave a 2-inch gap, so I'm going to start about 2/3 of the way along the bottom, and I'm going to stitch all the way round with about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 centimetre seam allowance. So I'll start that now, and you'll see me stitching, and then I'll show you the next stage. Taking the clips off as I go, and I'm just turning the fabric, trying not to push the fabric in. Now, when on the tight bits, like round the tail, you'll want to make sure the needle's in your fabric, lift up the presser foot, so needle in the fabric, lift up the presser foot, reposition your fabric, and keep going. Again, lift up. If you try and lift up the presser foot and turn when your needle's out, you'll get a loop in your stitching. So only do that when your needle is in. And I'm taking all these clips off as I come to them. You don't want to stitch over pins or clips. They could easily break your needle. Right, the ears are a little bit tricky, so lots of adjusting here to keep going round. If you want to go slowly so it doesn't run away with you, you can use the right hand handle on the machine just to do gentle turns, and that goes much slower. I'm adjusting, and now I've reached the bottom of the ears, so I need to do a sharp turn, needle in, and off I go again. Top of the ears, make sure the needle's in, lift the presser foot and twizzle the fabric to where I want to go. Turning, turning. Trying to keep my seam allowance the same all the way around. Adjusting again. Nearly there. Now the front feet. Twisting the fabric around. And then I'm remembering to leave my 2 inches, about 2 inches gap. And then to secure your thread at the beginning and end, you want to do a few stitches back and a few forward, and that's called a lock stitch, and that's the equivalent of a knot, and it will just hold your stitching in place, stop it unravelling. And there we go, we've stitched all the way around. I like to trim my threads as I go. It's just a horrible job to do at the end, trimming them all off. You always have 2 threads at the beginning, one on the top, one on the bottom, and 2 at the end. So there, trim my threads. And you'll see I've stitched all the way around. Just check that your stitching has gone through both layers and not missed one layer out. You don't want any gaps in your fabric, so the stuffing could come out. So I've stitched all round, and I've left my gap. So it's now ready to stuff. Now I've got toy stuffing, but if you haven't got any of that at home, you could use wool chopped up, or bits of fabric chopped up, even cotton wool, anything you've got to hand. And I recommend using little bits at a time, not trying to put too much in at once, so that you can get right to the ends of the ears. So I'll start filling that now. And I find the knitting needle, not the pointy end, we don't want to go through the fabric, but the blunt end can help get into the far corners. So I'm opening up the bottom gap, putting some stuffing in, working it up to the ears, and down the ears. Make sure it's filled out nicely. You want to fill those ears up before you move on. Keep adding more stuffing. And you'll see he's starting to take shape. Make sure you fill his tail up nicely. Don't want a flat tail, nice full tail, and you'll keep going till he's full. Then the next stage will be to sew up your seam here. I won't do that because I've got to carry on stuffing this one, but what you would do is you would just put the two raw edges together and then going back to your sewing machine, stitch down as if you'd carried on your stitch line before, on the top through both layers, lock stitch beginning and end, and then that will seal off the bottom. And then the two final things to finish off your bunny. One, if you've got pinking shears, don't worry if you haven't, but if you've got them, you can clip carefully round the edge. Just show you on a small section. And that will just stop the edge fraying. You may find your children, if you've got children, small children at home, you may find they've got some decorative edge scissors that you could use. So that will stop it fraying for a bit, like that. And then your final thing to do is to, if you've got some ribbon or wool or string, you can tie it round the neck of your bunny and make a bow like that. So that one's not quite finished. I need to carry on stuffing that and stitching up the bottom, but here's one I made earlier and that's what you're going for. So that's how to make the bunny. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's clear. I'd love to see pictures of what you've made, and if you've got any queries please do let me know, and I'll post the video of how to make the drawstring bag tomorrow. Bye for now.